Guys, some of you had needed a little extra help with the moon phase poster, and then we also had a few people that have been absent, so I decided to create a video on basically the how-to of doing the moon phase poster. In the Chapter 6 bundle, there's a document that has been created called Moon Phase Poster. I'll kind of put it up to the camera right here. It gives basically the ins and the outs of what needs to be included on your poster. So do check that out. It's basically like a checklist for you so you know that you have everything included on your poster. What I would first recommend is making sure you have a computer piece of paper to use as a planning piece of paper. You don't want to start directly on a poster board and then mess it up. So we're going to start on just a regular piece of computer paper. And I would turn the computer paper sideways, landscape. Okay? And I would do this with a pencil. I'm going to do it up on the whiteboard so you can see it, but do yours on paper and pencil. First thing I would start with is just simply draw the sun on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to pick yellow here. I'm going to go to the left-hand side. Pretend this is your piece of paper. Whoops, I'm on eraser. Let's try again. Whoops, I'm not on yellow. Oh well, we'll have a purple one. And then we're going to label that with the word sun. I would like for you to do the same. And then go directly in the middle of your piece of paper. Draw another circle. Label it Earth. Okay. Now, realize this is a planning paper. Yours, when you actually create the poster board, is going to look colorful and look neat. This is a student one created years ago. The sun is colored. You can draw some solar flares, make it look realistic. And the earth, same thing. They made it look realistic as well. But for the sake of planning, I just simply drew it just like a sketch. Okay? To kind of keep it organized, this would be the easiest way to go about doing this. And I'll be honest, videoing myself is awkward. So if this seems weird, it is weird. We're going to draw a circle here to represent the moon. We're going to draw a circle here to represent the moon. The circle here. And a circle here, kind of like you have a cross. Okay? I'll pause for just a second to let you catch up. Okay. From here, all the way around, when the moon is in its revolution or following its orbital path around Earth, this takes 29.5 days. I'm going to draw some arrows to show the direction that we're going to have the moon follow as it moves around Earth. Why don't you draw some arrows as well? Okay, when the moon is directly in between the sun and Earth, directly in between, from our perspective on Earth, when we look back at the moon, the side nearest Earth, the near side of the moon is receiving none of the light. All of the light would be on the side of the moon that we do not see, the far side. This side right here is called the near side. And in this particular position, since we would see nothing, this is called a new moon. So we'll label this new moon. And then new moon, since we see nothing, we're going to shade it in. See if I can get this a little. There we go. Woo, there we go. Go to the other total opposite side. When we have sun, earth, then moon, when the moon is in this particular position, all that sunlight is on the side that we would see. Therefore, in this particular position, we would have what is called a full moon. So we'll label this full moon, kind of out of space, whoops. That's a little sloppy. My pens need some serious calibration here, and I'm going to make do with what I got. I'm just impressed my pens actually work, which is pretty rare. They are working today. Okay, the moon is moving in this direction. Halfway in between new moon and full moon, we're going to see half of the moon. So I'm going to split it right down the middle, halfway. And the half that we would see is on the right side. The left-hand side we will not see, so we're gonna shade the entire left side in. And once again, my pens need some serious calibration, so this is a little off. Okay, we see half of the moon. This particular moon phase is called a first quarter. So we'll label that as well. Okey-dokey. Okay, so let's think about it. We're going this way. We see nothing. The amount of light is increasing. We have a first quarter. We have a full moon. Halfway in between full moon and new moon, once again, we're going to see half. It's going to be the total opposite of the first quarter. So opposite of first quarter would be third quarter. I'll just label it right here for now. It's going to look totally opposite. First quarter, we see the right-hand side. Third quarter, we're going to see the left. So I'm going to shade in the right-hand side. Okay, looks something like that. Okay, then we're going to go halfway in between each of these moons, and we're going to draw another circle. Oops, that one's probably a little too large. Fix that one. Something like that. So at this point, you should have 8 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now we're going to think from new moon to first quarter, what phase is in between? We see nothing at new moon. At first quarter, we see half of the moon. What would it look like in between? It would be more than nothing, but it would be less than half. That is called a waxing crescent. So maybe something like that. And once again, my pens need a little calibration here. When it's waxing, which that simply just means that the amount of the moon that we see is increasing. The moon is not actually growing. It's just the amount that we see is increasing. And when it's waxing, once again, we see the right side. The left-hand side is the side we don't see. So we're going to shade that. I'm sure this might be a little easier with pencil and paper than on this board. Something like that. Okay, waxing crescent. Let's see where I have to label it right in here. Waxing, and then crescent is spelled C-R-E-S-C-E-N-T. Do make sure you spell it correct. We wouldn't want misspelled words on our poster. Okay, let's start back here and kind of look at what we've done so far. We see nothing. We see a sliver on the right-hand side. The amount of light is increasing now to half. It should increase more. It should be more than a half, but not quite a full moon. What would that look like? We would see approximately 3/4. So I'm going to kind of go, yeah, something like that. And once again, the side we see is the right-hand side when we're waxing. So I'm going to shade in the left. Oh, this pen is driving me nuts. Something like that. I'm sure yours will be neater because you're not dealing with a pen that's not working well. Okay, new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter. We're still waxing, so this will be a waxing gibbous. We'll label that. Gibbous is G-I-B-B-O-U-S. Gibbous, which means we see approximately 3/4. So let's kind of step back and look again at what we've done. We see nothing. We see a sliver on the right for our waxing crescent. We see approximately half for our first quarter. We see approximately 3/4 for our waxing gibbous. And we finally get to full moon. We're halfway there. Okay, now we're at the full moon. Now we're ready to wane. Wane just simply means that the amount of the moon that we see is decreasing. The moon is not really getting smaller. It's just simply the amount that we see is getting smaller. And here's a little trick. No two moons on our poster should look exactly the same. If you have two moons that look exactly the same, you have made an error. So we see all of it. We should see less. Once we get to third quarter, we see half. Now when we are waning, the half that we see is on the left. Here's a little trick as well. Kind of going across from first quarter straight across to third quarter. These should be total opposite in appearance. So one way to look at it is our waxing gibbous. If we go straight across here, this one should look totally opposite as well. So we see 3/4 of the right, we should see 3/4 of the left. So, kind of shading that in. Something like that. Not perfect, but looks pretty good. This is a waxing gibbous. This will be a waning gibbous. Okay, let's look back at what we've done. We see all. We're now beginning to wane. Honestly, that should be a tad bit smaller here, but my pen's not being very cooperative. We see approximately 3/4. We see half. The amount we see right here should decrease now. We see half. Now we should see just a little sliver. It should be totally opposite of our waxing crescent. Waxing crescent, we see a sliver on the right. Right here, we should see the sliver on the left. Shade that right hand side in. Let me get that a little bigger so I'm not coloring here forever. Something kind of like that. Hopefully yours will be better than this. Oh, I need the label, don't I? Okay, it's a waning crescent. Okie. Okay, looking back at what we've done. New moon, see nothing. Waxing crescent, we see a sliver on the right. It's now growing. For first quarter, we see half on the right. Waxing gibbous, the amount we see is continuing to increase. We see approximately 3/4. Then we get to full moon where we see all. Now we're ready to wane. When we wane, we see the left-hand side. So we see 3/4 on the left. It's going to decrease. Now we only see half on the left for a third quarter. It's going to decrease more. We see just a sliver on the left for a waning crescent. Then we get back to new moon. This is one lunar cycle, which takes approximately 29.5 days. The pictures we're drawing is what we see from our perspective on Earth. Okay, we're partway there. Now what you will need to do is to draw, let's see if I'm the smallest, yeah, a moon, right, oops, my lettering's in the way a little bit, in between each of these. And this is, once again, why this is a planing paper. I'll need to remember on the actual poster not to let my lettering get in the way. Good thing this is just practice. See, my lettering's in the way a little bit there too. Okay, once you count it up, there should now be a total of 16 moons drawn around Earth. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we're ready to begin. Those 16 moons should be and an ellipse around Earth. Okie dokie? Okay, these moons will not be given a name. There will be no label for these moons. And from this position, new moon, to waxing crescent, it doesn't happen just boom, like that. So what we're going to have to do is kind of think about what the moon would look like in between these two phases. At new moon, we see nothing. At waxing crescent, we see a sliver, just a little crescent shape on the right-hand side. What would the moon look like in between? It would probably look like just a little bitty speck. Probably smaller than that, but this pen's not working real well. Just a tiny little speck on the right-hand side would we see. And the rest of the left would be shaded in. This one will not be labeled. Something kind of like that. Okay, so we see nothing. We see just a tiny sliver on the right-hand side. It's waxing. That amount's increasing. Increasing now to a crescent. What would the moon look like in between our waxing crescent and first quarter? We see a crescent shape here. We see half. We know it's going to be more than this, but we'll see less than this. We're going to have to think about what it would look like. So my circle's kind of poorly shaped, but it would be maybe something like, oh, it's not the best one. Something like that perhaps, and then we'll shade in the left-hand side. Okay, so the amount I see is more than this, but it's less than this. So something kind of like that. Just remember, no two moons should look exactly the same. Okay, I'll do one more here. From first quarter, we see half. Waxing gibbous, we see almost 3/4. What would it look like in between? Probably, let's see here. Maybe, actually, I might scoot that over just a little bit here. Something similar to this. The amount we see is more than this, but it's less than this. Okay, and then you would simply continue filling in the remaining moons. You'll have to do some thinking to kind of imagine what the moon would look like in between the two positions. So you'll continue to plan your moon-based poster, and when you are done, you were given a manila piece of paper. On that manila piece of paper is where you actually make your real poster. This is a poster that was created by a student a couple of years ago. I'll just flash it up here real quick. Like, you can see it's colorful, you can see it's neat, you can see the student has completed all items on the checklist to get a good grade. So take pride in your work. You are allowed to turn this in early. The deadline is Thursday, March 7th. You can turn it in early. I'll take them early. That would kind of help me out with grading. So do your best job. This will be worth 35 points. If you have any questions, see me. You can watch the video again. And good luck. See ya.